Major drama has developed after the 4 days of the Hustler Casino Live $1 Million Cash Game. Doug, Polk, and Tom Dwan, two of the biggest draws for viewers, were both left disappointed and upset in their own right with how they were treated. In this video, we show how this came to be and even what others watching from a distance like Garrett Adelstein had to say. When it comes to the big drama moment, we first discuss Doug. Surprise, surprise there. He feels he was essentially given the short end of the stick and lured into a situation that only deteriorated over time. Here he goes into detail describing his own grievances, especially when he was told there was a no pro rule, yet Tom Dwan, a known pro, getting to play daily.
I also just felt like really upset about the way that I was basically treated in this, where I know Feldman did his best. Feldman is a good dude, he runs a great show, but basically, you know, for all these months, I was like, yeah, I'll play whatever, play whatever. This is your lineup, these are the people, and then it just gets different and worse and worse, and then I eventually show up, and it's like, the game's on the ropes when I get there, and, you know, it's five-handed. I feel bad for Steve. He's obviously a good sport, but, you know, it's Steve and four pros, basically. And then Peter, he's there for a few hours. It's just not a great game. It does suck that then they have the game running next couple of days, and, you know, you're told no pros. Tom's playing. I don't know what happened there. I'm not in the inner workings of this shit, but it is what it is. So
Doug was so frustrated with how he was treated, he even goes as far as to say he will likely not be back again. Maybe this doesn't feel like such a big deal on the surface, but considering he has the second largest live stream at the Lodge in Texas and is a direct competitor to HCL, it could just be the start of something bigger, especially when Garrett Adelstein gets involved, which we will learn more of later. With all of that said, we do have to play devil's advocate. Like Doug also repeats, nothing is guaranteed, especially in poker.
I think the most important takeaway is I need to recognize on my side that you're not promised anything. Like, it's not like you're guaranteed to have an awesome game when you come out here. The game might not even run, or the game might run for only a few hours. In fact, last time I came out, my day got canceled and moved to the fourth day, and then it became what it became.
Who knows? Maybe this same thing could have happened last year, but it didn't just because of who was available to play. The game host, Ryan Feldman, has a tough job and can't satisfy everyone. I mean, if you were a recreational player, would you want to play with a pro at Doug's level? He does do a good job of making the game fun, but probably not. Sacrifices must be made, but it certainly does stink when expected standards are not met and Doug is essentially stuck in Motel 6 for the remaining week, only to make desperate jokes on Twitter in hopes of landing a seat. Quote, "The reason the $1 Million game doesn't have backup players when people leave is because no self-respecting person is just gonna wait around with millions of dollars for a glimmer of hope to get to play. Anyway, I'm in town till Saturday." When it comes to Tom Dwan, he was originally scheduled to play all 4 days of the $1 Million game. He did play 3 up to this point and was super entertaining, but on the last day, this is where things went off course. HCL announced the lineup, which did not include Tom. And he clearly represented his frustration, or as he'd call it, grumpiness, with this single emoji response on Twitter. The conversation extended when Joey Ingram said he thought Tom was playing all 4 days, and Tom responded with, quote, "Me too," meaning this came as a surprise to him. Continuing, Tom says, quote, "Might not come if not. Different if he was up giant and there was a reason." So yeah, at this point, Tom was still down about 500k. A fan pointed out Tom could just be joking, but was quickly proved wrong when Tom confirmed he did not have a seat and was promised playing every day. HCL went on to post a video about Tom not playing, which basically just says a lot of what I said before, and games are hard to organize. Many of the players want to play six-handed, and some players didn't want to play with Tom. After lots of suspicion, a very well-known loose and action-giving player the game is largely built around, Alan Keating, says it was not him. Tom himself replied to HCL's post with, quote, "I think they got this one wrong," and was, and am, slightly grumpy for a few reasons. Ryan and Nick and I are all friends. I told them I was gonna give them some gentle shit and think they deserve it. This was really well said in my opinion. He's talking about the video. Still think you both are fish in this one though. Haha. So it seems Tom was still not happy, but he understood the situation and was able to let it slide for one reason or another. But you know who was not able to let it go? Our long lost cousin Garrett Adelstein. That's right, out of left field, he hopped on Twitter showing he is still annoyed from the whole Robbie Jade Lou cheating situation. If you lived under a rock like this guy, guy, or you are new to the channel, check out my past videos for more details. Garrett says, quote, 2 stars, tagging Doug Polk and Tom Dwan, learned why I never trusted anything Feldman said. He had his own agenda and is willing to do/say anything necessary to execute it. Helpful when you are of use to him, brutal otherwise. No one will step on his toes given his power. The first response comes in from Tom saying, quote, I see it a bit different from you. I like Ryan and I think he means well. His job is hard and I think he messed up some this week. No one is going to get it right every time, and also my opinion could be wrong. I did make about 837 bad calls. Garrett responds, quote, I'll take you at your word, but can we agree that if you permanently blew up your relationship with Nick/Ryan, as I ultimately chose to, it would cost you many dollars in EV? I sure as hell know I used to be insanely careful with how I spoke of them for that exact reason. And finally, Tom responds back with a little novel saying, quote, personally, I think I'm in a bit of a lucky spot. Triton, etc. For a lot of pros, I think that is likely true. Not many of my relationships with non-billionaire VIPs too valuable proportionately, hey? I don't like how much of the poker world feels like they need to control narrative and bite their tongue. I feel like that's bad on a bunch of levels. In my experience, Ryan and Nick, not too bad on the spectrum compared to lots of others on that, but I have a bit of a unique spot, so IDK. All my deals with anyone in poker, I'm always allowed to say whatever the F I want whenever I want. Even the companies I like most don't do that usually, and I'm not sure what he's saying here, AFAIK. No one outside them has those deals, which sucks in my opinion. Triton, an exception again, of course. So despite Tom writing like a 3rd grader, we can decipher a lot of truth from his statements here that are nice for him to recognize, but are also nothing new for any industry, let alone poker. Yes, if you are sponsored by a company, you must play by their rules. That's why it's really nice when guys like Doug Polk exist, as they work really hard to build their own systems and actually get to do and say what they want, as Doug responds to Garrett's original tweet here. Quote, I don't really feel that way about it. Few different thoughts. I don't feel afraid to step on his toes because of his power. I play on their show once a year and can easily just play on my own show at roughly the same stakes when considering I have to sell at these stakes. Our games have been softer this year than they have ever been for me specifically, and it's way easier for me to play. I also do not play for a living anymore. I play to support my brand and businesses. Obviously, I also want a good game, but I don't need Feldman. All of this is to say, I don't need access to these games. I played because I enjoy playing on such a big stage. I also appreciate the difficulty of what Ryan has to go through to even get the games off the ground. He has also done an incredible amount for poker. All of those things said, I am not a happy camper about my experience playing, and it is unlikely I will be back. He has not really been able to deliver a good lineup/playing experience for me, particularly this year, and I get to vote with my presence. Last year, I felt like I really saved the show, and I think that should be rewarded more than it was this time around. Anyway, there's been enough drama, but I wanted to weigh in with my thoughts. And finally, Tom Dwan hops in and says, wow, what is this? Reasonable Doug. I am so confused. Respect it though. Send me a lodge date. I'll try and go or give you a small fine if I bail. Sure, okay, Tom Dwan, the guy that is known for paying his debts, will give you a small fine, Doug, if he doesn't show up. Garrett responds, quote, that's all fair. Agree with nearly all of that, including what Feldman has done for poker. And agreed, neither of us need Feldman. I worked so diligently my whole career precisely so I could always tell whoever to go F yourself. I just ended up playing that card a bit earlier than I thought I would. That seems to be lost on some of the audience who think I cry myself to sleep missing HCL or any other games that aren't particularly interesting to me. That being said, I do think it's a great idea we get our own $1 million game or something similar rolling at the lodge, as many have suggested. And finally, Doug responds back with, quote, let's see what's possible, thumbs up. Gotta note, it's pretty funny how quickly Doug switches up when previously saying a $1 million game at the lodge is probably unlikely to now saying what's possible. And rightfully so. Garrett Adelstein playing in this on the lodge would be incredible and changes things completely. And as for Chris Brewer trying to throw his hat in the ring, get your super pro ass out of here. Just kidding, but maybe not. Yeah. This guy's comment got a lot of likes, who says, quote, so the two people you tagged to align with your take both disagree with your sentiment. You are looking pretty bitter over this still, not a good look, Garrett. I can see both sides here. I mean, Tom and Doug don't really want to go too hard if they feel a certain way. You know, poker is a really small niche and they don't really want to burn any bridges. And more so for Doug and not Tom. I mean, I personally found it a little bit surprising that Doug even posted a video saying what he did. So yeah, while Garrett still might be a bit bitter, you can't can't expect Tom and Doug to just jump ship and be like, yeah, Ryan Feldman's the worst. I mean, Garrett's statement obviously was a bit aggressive, and, Doug isn't gonna just straight up agree with that. Politics in the $1 Million Game and politics in the poker world. One man that did get a seat in the game went by, quote, mystery man, who didn't really live up to the expectations in terms of the whole who could it be, which was marketed. I mean, he played super crazy and lost like $1.7 million, which was obviously great for the show, but he said very little and dressed like he just heard about COVID, so in that sense, he was not enjoyable. I think fans would have just rather seen Doug Polk or Tom Dwan at the table. The real mystery man to come from this game was Alan Keating. Of course, we've seen Alan around for a while, and he has a great reputation of playing wild and having this humble and mystique aura, but no one truly knows much about him. Well, until now. Both Doug and Tom ended up openly talking about how he has been a pro for many, many years, and Doug describing him as a guy that has, quote, really managed to pivot his way into the best possible position, even saying he asked Doug for a stake in 2010. Dwan also confirming Alan's skill level when replying to Twitter comments. Someone says, LMAO, the two whales in the game are Santosh and Keating. If Santosh is vouching for Durr, we can guess which player is asking for Tom to be blackballed. Tom replying, quote, Keating is a pro. Someone else saying, if you think Keating is a pro, the game has passed you by. And Tom putting the final nail in the coffin with, maybe you know him longer than me. I think I only met him 15 years ago or so. So who knows, maybe he was once a pro and is now more of a business guy. There is lots of speculation on the internet, and we will leave it at that for now. Ryan Feldman ends the weekend off by addressing the Tom and Doug situation as saying, quote, they are some of my favorite people, genuine, nice, cool ass people. I consider both of them true friends. Anyone who thinks there were ever any actual issues between us couldn't be more wrong. It's okay for friends to argue sometimes. I respect the hell out of both of them for how they interact. Even though I've been doing this for years now, it's still pretty surreal to have legends like Tom and Doug on our stage. To have the relationships I do with them is still so damn cool. I really like those guys. We are pretty lucky to have them, even if it is once or twice a year. So let me know in the comments, do you think Doug was used by HCL? Did they really screw him on this? Is he rightfully mad? Who blocked him and Tom from playing day 4? Alan Keating or someone else? Be sure to subscribe for more videos on the $1 Million Game coming soon, like the hand where Peter debatably hit and ran after being up $2 million.